Sons and daughters of Africa, welcome to Turundum Talk, where we will be banking on our heritage to rediscover the wealth of Africa and reimagine the gateway to the African economy. It is a new era of authority in Africa. The baton has landed on the next generation. The next stage of our liberation movement for our economy is about shifting realm and re-establishing authority. Think Eve, shifting humanity from the realm of the Garden of Eden. Think the Union of South Africa, recognized as a dominion in the realm of the British monarch under the authority of Queen Victoria. Meet the daughter of Bukhosi Babakwena, called to restore Africa to the realm of African authority, recognizing the African economy as a behavioral economy. World. My name is Kiatlaretz. I am the rebirth ya Bukhosi Babakwena as authority of the gateway to the wealth of Africa. Bakwena, the land ya Bakwena is Gauteng and Northwest, but they have authority all over Africa and connect with Africans all over the world. Under my authority, there are two Dikobo tsa Bukhosi, and Kobo ya Bukhosi is a royal coat that a king wears when they ascend to the throne. In my case, I was born with one, and the other one I inherited from my ancestor from the late 1700s. So I have two Dikobo tsa Bukhosi in my spirit. Bukhosi ba the 1700s, ke Bukhosi ba the wealth of Africa in its land, and that is the one that I inherited. Bukhosi Bobong that I was born with is the wealth of Africa and its people, and that is the one that came into authority in October 2025, but I think that journey started in the 1800s. So that is the authority that is currently authority over the African economy. Jesus is Lord over my life, and in his authority, I work in the modern kingdom of Africa that is inclusive of both traditional authority and Christian authority. In my journey coming into authority, I've been exposed to different industries and different individuals. The industries that connected with me at the capacity of Bukhosi is the industries in mining, banking, agriculture, construction, accounting authorities, as well as financial standards authorities. The one that connected to Bukhosiba Wealth of Africa in its land is the one that connects to mining, agriculture, construction, and accounting authorities, and then banking and financial conduct authorities connect to the one year, the wealth of Africa and its people. Let's get to the genesis of Bukhosi over the African economy. The Bukhosi by the 1700s is one between Nkuna and Bukhosi Babakwena. Nkuna as Kgosi married a daughter Yabakwena in the late 1700s, and he carries authority over the land of Africa and the world it produces. And the daughter Yabakwena is the one who gives economic value to Bukhosi, to the land under the authority Yanguna, which is all over Africa, right? As this authority is brought forward to this generation, Bukhosi is now situated at the bank, and the throne recognizes me as the daughter of the throne. The authority of wealth of Africa and its people is between Mzilikazi Kamashobane and Bakwena. Mzilikazi Kamashobane is a king that holds authority to carry the African community. The throne is the throne ya Mzilikazi, while Umashobane is recognized as the father of the throne and the guiding spirit. The daughter ya Bakwena, that is me, provides recognition of economic value to the community carried by Mzilikazi Kamashobane, and he functions mainly in banking. The throne Yamashobane recognizes me as the daughter Yabakwena and suitable help. Now both Dikobo tsa Bukhosi are spiritually aligned to a bank, and that is where both kings join Bakwena in authority so that Dikobo tsa Bukhosi are now recognized for economic value. This is it. This is our heritage and our identity that gets African authority recognized for economic value. my journey coming into authority. I started my career in auditing. I studied accounting, did articles in external auditing, and the beginning of my career was so interesting from the start. Recognized as somebody who's going to be a leader of my peers, leaders saying I'm going to be a leader's leader. I had an incredible ability to translate or interpret accounting policy in a way that others have not realized. I had an interesting ability to identify transactions that have material misstatement, but were not picked up in the ordinary sampling methods. That is just one of the examples of the things that I would do in audit, where I would be able to identify things that were not in the ordinary course of business. But now I realize that that is what actually happened when I stepped into institutions that have authority over industry or that were founded on royal authority. They would activate Kovaya Bukhosi in me. And as Bukhosi interacts with what impacts and affects the economic value of the house, I would be able to identify these transactions or activities or pursuits that need to be paid attention in the company in order for the company to meet its potential for economic value. In November 2019, that is where I sat with two giants of the South African economy that broke the ceiling of what is possible for Black people. They addressed me from a place of authority. They were not just talking to me, they addressed Bukhosi in me. Ntatemogolo Richard Maponya guiding me that the next step of the movement is to establish systems that recognize Africans for who they are, and Africans establishing an African value chain so that they do business at fair value. Ntatemogolo Motswenyane guiding me to take the bank back to being an African bank. He said to me, "We built the bank for you. I leave you with the responsibility of the bank." Of course, I didn't really understand what both were saying, but I just said, let's take a picture of this. I don't want anybody to argue with me that you gave me the bank. After Ntatemogolo Maponya passed away, I encountered him in spirit. That is where I got to learn what he meant, recognizing Africans for who they are. That is where I learned that Africans have to be recognized from a place of authority. He helped me in spirit to navigate the economic environment with the authority ya Bukhosi and acquire the knowledge or the language to articulate it in modern business terms. And that is how I ended up doing behavioral economics. When Ntatemogolo Motswenyane passed away, after he passed away, I also experienced him in spirit, where he helped me understand African Bank as the gateway to the African economy and helped me in the process of aligning the bank to Dikobo tsa Bukhosi so that it is equipped to it is equipped to be the gateway to the African economy that carries the authority that recognizes African authority for economic value. Ntatemogolo have laid the foundation to us having an African economy. The throne room that has been in authority since the late 1700s to now has officially retired, and there's a new throne room opening, and the authority of that throne room is now on the next generation. The big moment was after the conversation that I had with Penno on his show earlier this year, actually 2 months ago, around about October. I remember at the end of the conversation, he asked me, how do people become a part of this movement? And I said, people need to have the strong will for an African economy. People need to want it. God knows how to command Africa for the benefit of Africans. In 7 days, I experienced something like I want to run to heaven to go fetch an African economy. And I was almost like ascended to my higher self. And when I got to a certain place in spirit, I found that the king, Umzilikazi Kamashobani, had issued a sound. He was saying, with a very masculine, dominant voice, "My Africa, my people," something like that, okay? And instinctively, I just knew what to do. I began commanding the authority for Africa, that the next generation of the African economy will be building Africa for the benefit of Africans, and that economy will be recognized as a behavioral economy. Well, I can't say the exact words that I said, but that was the essence of it. So it's been quite a long journey, and I am truly humbled at what an African project this has been. It has taken a few years with different people just coming to assist, sent by authority, by Jesus, by their ancestors, to help me comprehend. Because when this happens in your spirit, it feels like an imagination. At some point I needed to be like, am I still sane? Can I take a break from this? But you can't take a break when you function within season, because authority opens in season. If this is the season for something, you have to move, you have to do it. There is no time to doubt things and doubting your own sanity. I had to go crazy for Africa, and that I did. So we now become the generation that shifted the authority from where it was, and now African authority is recognized for economic value. 2025 was a year of authority. The Gateway is fully equipped with authority to recognize African authority for economic value. It has capacity to carry an African economy. 2026 is the year of Thy Kingdom Come. Be a part of the movement, be the movement. Remember, we are the Africa imagined. The wealth of Africa is in its people.